Hello, everyone. This is Rhea Riley with your news update. There's an update for the Milwaukee real estate agent accused of running a sex ring out of his home. 39-year-old Austin Cronster faces 6 new felony charges, including human trafficking, second-degree sexual assault, strangulation, and domestic abuse. Cronster could face up to 25 years in jail for this new set of charges alone. His bond is set for $10,000. Cronster is due back in court on June 20th. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee is suing its former finance director and auditing firm over fraud. The social services agency alleges Brandy Ellis of Milwaukee misappropriated millions of dollars. The lawsuit says she paid false invoices and used corporate credit cards for personal purchases, and accuses auditing firm Baker Tilly of failing to recognize the fraud. This comes after Catholic Charities identified 4 employees believed to be involved in a years-long scheme to steal over $1.5 million in December, committing $500,000 to support Milwaukee Public Schools superintendent. Multiple philanthropic organizations, including the Greater Milwaukee Committee, are earmarking funds to directly support initiatives by Superintendent Dr. Brenda Casilius. Dr. Casilius says what the money will be used for.
Mostly around communication, trust building work, professional development for our staff and our team.
The Greater Milwaukee Foundation will be the financial steward and manager of the fund. This has been your news update. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on the new 1017 The Truth.
Bringing you his authentic perspectives on important topics.
They live in suburbs together. They live in the city together. They hang out together, all in the same family. We're the only idiots that fight because we want our voice to only be on one side. Like, does that even make any sense? And when the side loses, you lose everything. They, on the other hand, have a voice no matter what because somebody that looks like them is always in control.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point.
Well, it's just a skewed system.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of judgment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people up, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the... had to get my microphone straight. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. I was reading an article today, and I was a little flabbergasted. Okay, that's a lie. I was a lot flabbergasted. And it has to do with how the media portrays us. And by the way, you can stream and watch us live on YouTube at 1017thetruth.com. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never, ever, ever miss a live show. So this article kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It kind of made me realize that every now and then I think the media is doing a great thing. Every now and then I think everything is fine. Every now and then I think, we kind of got this. Everything will be fine. And then it isn't. So my issue is not more so, it's not more so the media and how they respond and do things. Some of the way this new crowd of journalists write is unfortunate. And that's why I'm glad we have what we call citizen journalists, because then they're able to put things in terms of what they see, and it's raw. And when it's raw, you kind of get to make up your own mind the way you're supposed to do in the media. You get to make up your mind and see the facts as they're presented. Is it perfect? No. Does it have the journalistic angle? No. But one of the things that disturbs me about the media today is they allow too many of their personal ideas when they present a story in the story to represent race, gender, what their politics are, how they feel. And I see it in black journalists as well. You know, when I go to those sites like The Root and The Griot and Blavity and Black Enterprise, they write articles with these points of view that aren't really journalistic. It's not the who, what, where, why, when. It's not the inverted pyramid. It's just, this is what I think, and this is the take I'm going to take. I'm going to take. How redundant, right? And so we get to see the media, which is predominantly white in all areas. Make no mistake, it's predominantly white, which in my instance, understanding journalism the way I do, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, you might report on those stories that are more important to you. We talk about Milwaukee Black Talk, and some people are for it, some people are against it, some people want us to talk more about black, more people want us to move more to the middle. I say it's okay to move center left, center right, because all those things affect us. And so if we can give you a perspective that helps you understand black people, family members, whoever, I think it's great. But every now and then I see stories that don't really rise to the level of other stories. When SDC broke, you thought somebody had walked into, no, let me rephrase that. Somebody from SDC walked into a church and stabbed 20 people. Was it unfortunate? Yes. Was it malfeasance and misappropriation and just poor financial planning? Yes. But I say that about anybody. If I mess up, I got to say it about me. I messed up. I dropped the ball. I have to correct it. The problem is we don't give many times the black community the opportunity to correct it. The media tends to put us on blast, and then that's all you hear. And then when there are any updates, it's buried somewhere, or it's given 30 seconds and that's it. We heard about all the fights in Wauwatosa. What was that, Wauwatosa East? We heard about, black people fighting, right? We know white people fight, but we never see those. We know it got corrected by the superintendent, Demond Means, but we don't hear about that. We know the school board did all the things that they did, right or wrong, but we don't hear about that because we're not the majority on those things. But even when we're the minority and it looks like we did something, it's blown out of proportion. So when SDC did what they did, for whatever reason, and I'm pretty sure the majority of that board wasn't black, all we talked about is how terrible it was for the black community. As if the black community are the only poor people in the community. As if black people are the only people who needed SDC in the community. And they operated countywide, and they had people from all over the county on the board. But all we looked at, it was the black male who was in charge. All we talked about is all those poor black people who wouldn't get this and wouldn't get that. But then we have a story yesterday, or should I say 3 days ago, on May 10th by Sophie Carson in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Catholic Charities sues former finance director and auditor Baker Tilly, alleging millions in fraud. Stories updated May 10th, 2025 at 10:40 p.m. So by the time this circles back around the next day, it's kind of in there in one of those little boxes, but it's not a big story. It's fraud. You're being sued for fraud. Now, here's the story. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee is suing its former finance director, alleging she funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars, you ready, into her own pocket. It's also suing the auditing firm Baker Tilly, saying the auditors missed the signs of fraud. Last December, the Social Services Agency, kind of sort of like SDC, Social Services, fired two employees and identified two other former employees believed to have been involved in a years-long scheme to steal what? $1.7 million. Catholic Charities named former finance director Brandy Ellis of Milwaukee and Baker Tilly as defendants in a lawsuit they filed on May 9th. The nonprofit runs several programs, including adoption services, adult day services, counseling, case management, and refugee and immigration support. In its complaint, Catholic Charities said Ellis misappropriated millions of dollars from the time she was hired as an accountant in 2014 until May of 2024 when the alleged fraud was discovered. And nobody checked it? Is anybody questioning Catholic Charities board of directors in failing in their fiduciary responsibility to take care of the organization? Nope. A representative, and get this, the article says the total amount is unknown. A representative for the agency previously said final numbers were still being tallied, but said $1.7 million was stolen. Get this. In the last 2 years of Ellis's employment, Ellis carried out two schemes, according to the complaint. One scheme, the lawsuit alleges she paid false invoices that incorrectly seemed to reflect work or services completed by vendors for Catholic Charities. In reality, Ellis directed hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments to vendors with whom she had a personal and professional connection, the complaint said. In another scheme, not just one, and we're talking just the last 2 years, Ellis used corporate credit cards to make hundreds of thousands of dollars of personal purchases. Some cards were under her name. Some were under the names of coworkers who were no longer working at Catholic Charities, including a chief financial officer who was fired in 2019. Baker Tilly, hired by Catholic Charities to perform independent annual audits on its financial statements, failed to recognize clearly fraudulent purchasing activity, the complaint said, including charges that were unrelated to the agency's charitable work and charges on the departed CFO's card, such as purchases from, you ready? MGM Grand Hotel and Casino, Ticketmaster, Amazon Prime Video, and Uber. Catholic Charities also alleges that auditors failed to recognize an increase in credit card charges and an uptick in the number of credit card bill payments, and it said nothing of the audits of 2019 to 2023 identifying any significant transactions that appeared unusual or outside the normal course of business. Now, although auditors inspected certain line items to see if they were legitimate, it only relied on internal documents created by Ellis, not documents generated by a third party, that appeared to prove the charges were above board, the complaint said. And so according to the complaint, donors and potential donors rely on audited financial statements when deciding whether or not to contribute to the nonprofit. A Baker-Tilly spokeswoman said it was Baker-Tilly's policy not to comment on matters involving current or former clients. Ellis could not be immediately reached for comment May 10th. Court dates have not been scheduled. Catholic Charities previously said its programs were not affected by the alleged theft. So how much money are you bringing in that somebody takes in just 2 years, $1.7 million? But that has been going on God knows how long. You fired a CFO in 2019. How much money are people trusting you with? How many government contracts do you have? How many state contracts, county contracts, city contracts do you have that may have quite possibly been misappropriated? And who's going to check on Catholic Charities? You know, Milwaukee's a big Catholic town. So they'll probably, do the whole soft shoe routine and walk through really slow and take their time and make sure, well, we're taking our time because, no, you're controlling the narrative. Where was this story in the news? Where was this story pushed out there the way SDC was? People were castigated. People quit. Did anybody quit the Catholic Charities Board? Did any other employees quit? If you gave money to Catholic Charities, do you trust them? Social Development Commission is still having fallout and still making the news, but yet we get nothing on Catholic Charities. Why is that? One, because we have a really huge Catholic resident. I'm trying to phrase it right. We got a lot of Catholics in Milwaukee, and you can't bash Catholics, but you can bash Catholic Charities, because the donors that give money to Catholic Charities should be made whole if their money was misappropriated. But yet, it didn't make big news the way SDC did. So then, what do you call this? What do you call all this stuff about misappropriation? Out and out fraud. You got one story in Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and that's it. Like, where's it at? TMJ4, Fox 6 News, WISN 12, CBS 58, and every other news outlet, every other radio station outlet. Where's it at? And I was trying to figure out, what do you call this? When an organization as large as Catholic Charities sues their auditor and a former employee for stealing just $1.2 million in the past year, and the auditor didn't find it, and it's literally their job to find it. You know what I call that? Media bias at its finest.
And that is Dr. Ken's Truth on the new 101.7 The Truth. Coming with straight truth.
I wonder how many of these kids that's running around here, if they tested them for lead, look up lead crisis in different townships and look at the behavior, and then look at what's going on in Milwaukee and match it up. Do your little research. Go get your thumbs instead of getting in the comments and arguing with folks. Go look up the side effects of a lead poison environment, then watch the news.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design.
Great impressions.
Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie Ricks. You all know I love supporting a local team. That's why I'm excited to tell you about UW Credit Union. They've been serving Wisconsin for over 90 years. And when I was in school, they helped me learn how to plan for my future and make my money grow. Even now, they're still always there for me when I have questions. And they'll be there for you too. So stop by any of their 13 Milwaukee area branches or visit uwcu.org to become a UW Credit Union member today, like me. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Hey, I want to remind y'all that it is, oh, wait a minute. 65 degrees, partly cloudy. 68 was the high. Tonight, it should get around 53 degrees. Winds are now from the southwest at about 9 miles an hour. However, Wednesday is a different story. It's going to be storming. You're going to have gusts around 60 miles an hour, golf ball size hail, and tornadoes are possible. So tomorrow you might want to be careful. I'm just saying. Also, a dense fog advisory. I was coming downtown and there was, fog in the off the lake, and it was starting to roll in. So it's going to be one of them days and one of those nights. So make sure that you do that. All right. Coming up Wednesday, high of 67, Thursday, 69, and then Friday, it'll get up to 78, but it's mostly sunny, but windy around 21 miles an hour. So it's going to be significantly cooler, even though the temperature will tell you one thing. The actual, how you feel will be the same, will be different. And I only stutter because I'm looking at Kawanda, who's in Florida, who she needs to just go somewhere and be quiet. 87 degrees here today and tomorrow. A bit cloudy, but still, it'll feel like 97. Yeah, whatever. But you also got humidity down there, something you can actually take and keep with like with yourself. I don't do humidity. I can't do humidity. I'll be dripping wet, and it might cost me something. Speaking of costing something, there's an article in JS Online. So, do you agree with this? I would assume you'd say yes, but I don't know. You agree with this? So, the Milwaukee Common Council approved the second largest settlement in a federal police misconduct civil rights case in city history. sending it to Mayor Cavalier Johnson for signature. Danny Wilbur, whose 2005 conviction for homicide was overturned after a federal appeals court found his trial was unfair. In a statement, said the $6.96 million settlement backed up his longstanding claim of innocence. The evidence that came out in this case showed that this was not a series of mistakes by a squad of incompetent homicide detectives. And without naming members of the Common Council, his attorneys also blasted strong words in a committee on May 8th about decisions by former Circuit Court Judge Mary Kuhnmunch that led to overturning Wilbur's conviction. City of Milwaukee knows very well that Danny Wilbur is innocent and that he was framed by Milwaukee police detectives. Otherwise, it wouldn't have paid him $7 million. I don't know about that. That's the attorneys Ben Elson and Flint Taylor of the People's Law Office in Chicago said in a statement. Instead of passing the blame on to others, the city should publicly acknowledge its role in Danny Wilbur's wrongful conviction and make a sincere apology. Wilbur's case alleged that former Milwaukee Police Department officers violated his rights by fabricating evidence and omitting evidence suggesting his innocence. He spent nearly 18 years in prison over the 2004 murder of David Diaz, 23, but Wilbur always maintained his innocence. His civil rights lawsuit was filed in 2023, and on May 13th, today, the council backed legislation approving the settlement and a separate file approving borrowing the full sum to pay for it. There was no discussion. Johnson's spokesperson said the mayor would review the legislation and likely follow the city attorney's office recommendation to approve the settlement. The $6.96 million settlement will add to the city's bill. In February, the city paid $300,000 to hire a Chicago law firm to litigate the case. So we've spent like $7.1 million on a case we lost. And because the payment will be made in a lump sum, the interest over 10 years could be expected to cost the city $2.1 million. Comptroller Bill Christensen said previously. That would bring the total cost to taxpayers around $9 million. The settlement lags behind the $7.5 million 2019 settlement for Robert Lee Stanton, a man who was wrongfully incarcerated for 24 years. The city is self-insured, meaning taxpayers bear the cost of any settlement. Wilbur was convicted of homicide, but always fought the details of the case against him. His conviction was ultimately reversed due to reasons outside of the investigation into the death, but questions have lingered over the details. So, what do you think? 833-212-1017 is the number. Are there other cases we need to look into? Because if we continue to do this, we're going to end up bankrupting the city. If we keep doing this, the city's not going to have any money to do anything. What are your thoughts? 833-212-1017. Is this appropriate? Is this appropriate for this young man? He'll get 2/3 of it. He'll get 2/3 of $6.96 million. I don't think that's a bad deal. He'll get about $4 million. Attorney will get the other third, minus any fees and all that kind of stuff. Because, you know, attorneys will have, oh, we got this expert here, so we got to hire him, but then they'll add some hours onto that and then add some hours. That's just how the game works. I wouldn't call it a game. That's how the legal system works. They got some issues with the legal system, too. How did it even get that far, right? How did it even get that far that happened? One day when I'm off the radio and we having a conversation, I'll tell you about some things that I've witnessed and that I've noticed and that I thought about the Milwaukee Police Department back in the day when I was working there. I'm just saying. But there were some questions that people had from outside agencies and outside the state of Wisconsin that questioned some things. And now, like, the wheels are starting to fall off. We're starting to look at cases. And so how did you get this person convicted when there's clear evidence? Supposedly, it's exculpatory evidence. Things that should have been turned over to the prosecution from the defense and from the defense to the prosecution that was withheld. How'd that even happen? So you say people don't trust the justice system. This is why. Some of the cogs in the wheel need to be fixed. And so if they find out who did it, whether they're on the job or not, they should go back and their names should be released on those police reports to show who did it. Let them pay some of it too. Not necessarily part of the millions because they were acting under the color of law, so they're covered by the city. But their names at the very least should be out there to show. And we all have character issues, me included. Everybody do. But when it comes to the legal system, your character should be above reproach. And so that's one of the things that I've always questioned. When it comes time to doing the right thing in front of people, that doesn't take anything. You see somebody drop money, other people see the person drop money, you pick it up and give it back. Oh, that was a great thing you did. It really wasn't. It's what you do when no one's watching and no one's listening and no one's around. That's when character comes in. And now with 101.7 The Truth Traffic, here's Debbie Lazica.
Eastbound on 94, we do have a crash just past Highway 164 off on the right shoulder. Delay stretching back to Highway 16, but they also continue all the way past Springdale Road. We've also got westbound 94 backing up from just about 20th Street all the way to Mitchell Boulevard, from the zoo all the way to the county line as well. And then on basically from Springdale Road all the way to Highway 164. I-41, we've got backups southbound from Appleton Avenue, pretty solid, all the way down past Capitol. Northbound's backed up from Watertown Plank Road all the way up to Silver Spring. And checking the TMJ for Storm Team forecast tonight, patchy fog, mild with a low of 51. Tomorrow, morning fog, partly cloudy with an isolated shower, a high of 66 at the lake, 75 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazica on 101.7 The Truth.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Escape the city and relax at Lake Lawn Resort in beautiful Delavan, Wisconsin. Enjoy outdoor activities on Delavan Lake. Tee off at the lakeside Majestic Oaks Golf Course or unwind at the award-winning Calidora Spa. With both indoor and outdoor pools, there's fun for the whole family. Take a cruise on the Lake Lawn Queen. Explore stunning shores and historic landmarks. And enjoy delicious food and drinks on board. Book your stay today at lakelawnresort.com, where everything is better at the lake.
Ready to join the fun? With Girl Scouts Extended Year membership from Girl Scouts,
you can sign up by June 30th and get up to 18 months of adventure through September 30th, 2026.
Girls starting kindergarten or first grade in 2025 will also receive 3 Get Ready with Girl Scouts activity books
featuring games, crafts, and stories the whole family will love for free. Plus, you'll even get a special gift from the Girl Scouts. Join today and get ready to grow, explore, and shine with Girl Scouts.
Experience some of the most cherished popular music of all time when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra presents Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound, May 23rd through the 25th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Byron Stripling will lead the MSO, and an exciting trio of vocalists that include Broadway superstar Chester Gregory, Ashley J., and Brick Liam in a musical sojourn of hits made famous by legendary talents such as Lou Rawls, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, and The Temptations. Songs like My Girl, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and I'm Coming Out will come alive in fun and stylish arrangements that are sure to have you dancing and humming along in your seat. Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound runs May 23rd through the 25th only. So lock up your tickets right now by calling the box office at 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org.
This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So, Black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do, but I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other Black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. Milwaukee Brewers dropped Game 1 of their 3-game series out in Cleveland to the Guardians. This one by a final score of 5-0. The loss dropping the Brewers 2 games under 500 at 20-22. Game 2 set for this evening. Over to the NBA, where the Dallas Mavericks have won the NBA lottery. They'll have the number 1 pick in the upcoming June 2025 NBA draft. And around the NBA, the Celtics fall into the Knicks 121-113. New York taking a 3-1 lead in that series. And the Timberwolves also taking a 3-1 lead in their series over the Warriors with a 117-110 win. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
You are listening to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. That's what I'm talking about. Playing that music. That's what's up. 833-212-1017 is the number. Al, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
Good evening. I know you was talking about media, but you know, when I sit back and I look at media, I really don't get upset about media because we as blacks know the real truth. We also know that every issue we got in the United States comes from racist white people, and everything they touch turns into garbage.
But we're perpetuating a narrative that's making our community look a certain way when, in fact, we're not. You don't think it's important to correct that?
Well, we can correct it, but when we speak out about it, we shouldn't be condemned about it. You know, it's like when they bring up 53206, they think everybody is on welfare and getting a check.
Yeah, but 53206 did it to themselves.
But
you
everybody in 53206 is not getting a check.
That's how I grew up. I grew up in 53206. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, but
what does that mean?
That's a mentality that somebody took. That's not everybody, and that's actually the redneck theory that came from England. That has nothing.
That ain't got nothing to do with England. With somebody in Milwaukee talking about 53206.
But that's where
it did not.
But what I'm saying is that's where it came from.
It did not.
You can take the history book.
We're not talking about history. We're talking about in the last 2 to 3 years, and including when the 53206 documentary came out. Everybody claimed 53206 as if they grew up so tough and grew up so rough, and they painted the narrative of
people,
it. Come on.
But that's the people who live in a pity party. That's not everybody in 53206.
Then why didn't anybody speak up against it? Why didn't anybody speak up and say, I grew up like that, but I won and I got this and I got that?
Well,
for middle class.
I speak up for it. I speak up, but people always say, "This is what I see when I look out my door." So I always offer Wisconsin vision glasses, but they don't ever talk about the inbreeding, the animal rape, the dog rape. They don't ever talk about that.
But that happens everywhere where there's poor people. That's not indigenous to
but not black people. That's white people, not black people.
No,
that's
everybody.
White people,
come on, dude, stop.
We know black people ain't raping no dogs, and ain't no pugs.
No, they're not.
And no diapers because
no, they're not.
Blacks. So what I'm saying is when those people push the pity party, that's because they're looking for a check and they don't see nothing else. Because I live in 53206.
But we don't know why they do.
I know a lot of people with.
You can only speak for you.
No,
they're looking.
They're looking for a check.
What check would you get living in 53206 other than welfare? Like what check would you be looking for?
Well, no, but when people portray that to white people, they're looking for a pity party and a welfare check. Well, that's all we got to do is just keep it 100.
Well, white people don't give you a welfare check. Government does. You got to apply for it.
No, but what I'm saying, when you have black people using the pity party, or they say, I came from 53206, it's your job to get an education. It's your job to clean yourself. It's your job to do that. Those people who use the pity party is looking for praise from whites because they don't do it with blacks. When you hear them say, all I see is when I walk outside my door, I'm telling. But they don't see the mother who pay her rent always on time. You don't see the mother who take care of her kids. When I walk outside the door, everybody living good, but they can't say how they living. It's a pity party that they want a welfare check from the white folks. Them blacks does that all the time, but we're not that black. That's all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
But the majority of black people in 53206 don't do that. The majority of people in 53206, a good number that I know, nowhere near probably, maybe 1% or 0.5%, they don't respond like that. They recognize where they grew up, and then they move forward. They recognize that it was tough, and they move forward. I would challenge everybody to go to West Virginia. Go to some of these places up north on some Indian reservations and take a look at what poverty is. Poverty doesn't know race. Poverty doesn't know ethnicity. Poverty knows poverty. And when you're poor, there's some things that you do that you might not necessarily do, and you only do it because you're poor. But when you know better, you do better. 833-212-1017 is the number. Tune in to the award-winning 1017 The Truth Black Business Give Back Spotlight this Friday, 3:57 p.m. between the Tori Lowe Show and me, Truth in the Afternoon, with Dr. Ken Harris. We'll be joined by India Guster. She is the owner of Royal Street MKE. We will discuss their freshly remodeled business, her journey as an entrepreneur, and, of course, the delicious food and signature drinks all first-timers have to try. So, again, that is the Black Business Give Back Spotlight with Royal Street MKE this Friday, 3:57 p.m., right here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call That's All Gruber Cash Giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 1017 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. There's no better time to upgrade your windows and doors than right now, because you can get up to 6 years of 0% financing at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Yes, no interest for up to 72 months, and the full Pella experience is always included. That means the Pella team is with you from start to finish. They don't disappear after the work is done. Set up your free in-home consultation. You commit to nothing at this point. A Pella design expert will listen to your vision and then present the different colors, sizes, and customizations needed to make that vision a reality. It can feel overwhelming to consider what feels like limitless possibilities, but Pella's design team can help narrow those options down for you to create that dream upgrade. Hurry, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Certain restrictions apply, and the deal ends May 31st, 2025. So visit PellaWI.com today.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Serious truck crash? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 46 minutes after the hour. I was looking for something. 833-212-1017 is the number. Milwaukee area weather right now is 65 degrees, going to a low of 53. Humidity is at 75%. Pressure's dropping, so we probably got some rain coming pretty soon. So it's a full moon tonight. So if y'all want to hang out, glow in the dark, but I think we'll probably have clouds. So that probably won't work. Always remember, if you're driving in or out of the city, there's a dense fog advisory in effect. So be very careful. Shirley, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Hello, Dr. Ken. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. I was listening to Al make a comment about the 53206 area, zip code or what have you. I grew up in that area. I'm 60 years old, and my mother and father bought their first home there, and they bought it from white people. We were living in the area when it was white. And we witnessed and watched the area literally, and I hate to use these terms, but the area started to go down when homeowners started selling their homes and people started renting. The area literally started going down. And with the passing of my mother and father, my mother in 2010, and we had to make a decision, and it was 5 boys, 4 girls. Make a decision with my mother's home. Did anybody want to live in that home? And, the neighborhood had gotten really, really bad. And my sister and I tried to do it for 3 years. We were there 3 years, and after that, we said, that's it.
So what made you move?
The gun stopped. Well, there was a time when there was a gun. There was many negative things that made us move. The fear of one of us may get hurt coming home late from work. At that time, I was a corrections officer. I was working second shift coming in at sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning, and the fear of that. And my sister, she was still clubbing, and the fear of her maybe getting hurt trying to come home and someone bum rush her and, in the house and something may happen. And there was so much shooting going on in that area. We finally said, hey, this is it. We got to go. We got to go. And the rearing that my mother and father gave us, there were, like I said, I had 5 brothers. Not a one spent time in prison. They came out of that were teachers and police officers and electricians. Not a one spent any time in prison.
Okay.
Boys or the girls.
Right.
We were taught better. We were taught, we had morals, values, things of that, and we still live by those morals and values today. But no, we had to get out of that neighborhood because it.
So what happened? So what happened to the community? Like because you were there, you grew up there, you stayed as long as you could there. What happened to change the community, and what made you? Like, what was there that made you leave?
I believe when you had white flight and eventually the elder blacks were dying out and not able to keep their homes and the property taxes and things of that nature. But when they started renting, and people got caring about the property that they lived in, and they didn't. Grass grew up over your knees, and there were paper and trash and diapers, and you have it. House fires with, burnt up houses and lots and things like that.
So let me ask you a question, Shirley, because I want to rush too, because I only have a few minutes. So.
Okay.
What do you think about white flight? I mean, we always bring that up as if when white people leave, a neighborhood is automatically going to go down. But we have neighborhoods throughout the country that are middle class, that white people moved out, and they flourished, and they're actually better today than they were when white people were there.
I can agree with that as well. I can agree with that. It doesn't necessarily mean because white people leave that the neighborhood will go down. It doesn't mean that. It means that whoever take ownership of that home or property should have the morals and values to be able to keep it up and do what is right in that neighborhood. I don't know what happened. Everything just went wrong, and it went wrong quickly.
So do you think that black people are slow at correcting other black people?
No.
Like when they do things wrong? Are we slow at saying, hey, don't do that, and if you do it, I'm going to call the police? I
totally do, and it may be because we don't want to hurt that person, or we don't want to see them in jail, or but
they committed a crime.
No,
they committed a crime.
I agree.
And the victim is black.
You get no argument from me, Dr. Ken. You get no argument because I'm quick on the trigger with the phone now. I really am. You get no argument from me because I'm not going to sit around and watch. I was driving the other day, and a guy threw a whole plate of food out. He's literally in front of me. Threw a whole plate of food out on the ground. I mean, what is that? What is that? I don't know. I'm not living there. I'm just not doing it. I'm not.
Okay.
I moved out pretty far. I did. I moved out pretty far. I don't want the noise, the music, the trash. I don't want any of it.
All right. Well, thank you much. I appreciate it, Shirley.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. 833-212-1017 is the number. Let me see if I can squeeze somebody in. The Town, you got about a minute. You're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
That's cool. So I'm going to be real short. Anyway, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
I want to comment on, all good. I just want to comment on what the last lady said, and this what really struck me right there. She was like, we had doctors, electricians,
yes,
and all these good people, right? And then what after that, they left. And then the question you asked was, and it didn't seem like more of an answer than the question. What happened to the community?
Right.
See, when them people leave, you know, who you gonna look up to?
Well, do you have to look up to somebody in your neighborhood to live there, or do you just have to do what you're supposed to do, take care of your family, and do the right thing?
Or if you're younger, if you're a younger ilk,
okay,
yes,
okay,
yes, because we need our elders to look up to. How we gonna learn how to beat? That's why we messed up right now.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't nobody close enough for these young people to see.
Yes, there is.
Yes, they move out.
There most certainly is. I don't think they care.
I mean, you think they care?
I don't think they care. I don't think they care. They can see people. They see them in school. They see doctors, lawyers on TV, going to work every day. They just don't care. I don't know. I don't know how they feel. I gotta ask.
I can't put. I don't want to cut you off, but I don't want to put the people like the young kids like this. They don't care. They ain't been taught, man. If you see it, it's obvious. It's obvious the child rearing ain't right. The education ain't right.
So then why haven't we corrected? I got about 30 seconds. Why haven't we corrected black people on rearing their children, keeping their children out of trouble, and all that? Why do we just let it pass?
What you said with the last, like how you talked to the last person.
What?
We like correcting ourselves. We do have a problem with that.
All right.
But the only way we can correct ourselves is yelling. You did this bad. You did this bad. Come on, we can talk better to ourselves than that.
All right.
Everybody else do.
Well, thank you much.
That's my time. Peace.
Appreciate you. 833-212-1017 is the number. You have a comment? We got a break and news coming up. If you want to jump in, I'm running behind on the top 5 at 5. But what else is new? You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. We got Talking Text, we got Larry, we got Yolanda, and we have you right here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
It started with a prediction.
Gonna go out there and play basketball and win.
And how many games?
6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on May 20th.
Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Baltimore Orioles.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh my goodness, third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Construction Business Group. Tune in May 20th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with Black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom, I got
first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is your 1017 The Truth News Update.
Hello, everyone. This is Rhea Riley with your news update. There's an update for the Milwaukee real estate agent accused of running a sex ring out of his home. 39-year-old Austin Cronster faces 6 new felony charges, including human trafficking, second-degree sexual assault, strangulation, and domestic abuse. Cronster could face up to 25 years in jail for this new set of charges alone. His bond is set for $10,000. Cronster is due back in court on June 20th. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee is suing its former finance director and auditing firm over fraud. The social services agency alleges Brandy Ellis of Milwaukee misappropriated millions of dollars. The lawsuit says she paid false invoices and used corporate credit cards for personal purchases, and accuses auditing firm Baker Tilly of failing to recognize the fraud. This comes after Catholic Charities identified 4 employees believed to be involved in a years-long scheme to steal over $1.5 million in December, committing $500,000 to support Milwaukee Public Schools superintendent. Multiple philanthropic organizations, including the Greater Milwaukee Committee, are earmarking funds to directly support initiatives by Superintendent Dr. Brenda Casilius. Dr. Casilius says what the money will be used for.
Mostly around communication, trust building, work, professional development for our staff and our team.
The Greater Milwaukee Foundation will be the financial steward and manager of the fund. This has been your news update. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris continues on the new 1017 The Truth.
Bringing you his authentic perspectives on important topics.
They live in suburbs together. They live in the city together. They hang out together, all in the same family. We're the only idiots that fight because we want our voice to only be on one side. Like, does that even make any sense? And when the side loses, you lose everything. They, on the other hand, have a voice no matter what, because somebody that looks like them is always in control.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point.
Well, it's just a skewed system.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of judgment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. And then Kyle come in and get me all riled up. I'm just smoking this afternoon. 833-212-1017 is the number. And said many parents in general have spoiled their children. I observed many teens that did not appear impoverished, cruising in very nice cars, wearing designer clothes out after curfew on school nights, gunshots late at night. But you can't tie one with the other, and just because you see those kids don't mean those are the kids that are shooting, number one. Number two, we always talk about being successful, so a byproduct of successful parents are successful spoiled kids. My kids were spoiled when they were growing up. 2 successful parents made 2 successful kids. They grew up dressing nice, looking nice, driving a nice car, and probably cruising. Why? Because that is a middle-class phenomenon. When you don't have money and you don't have gas money, you don't have a car, you don't go cruising. That's why a lot of the cruising is where? In white suburbs. But I get it. I understand what you're saying, but that's a little small thing. Bill said, thanks for the discussion. Now listening for answers. I got some answers for you. Yeah, I guess my top 5 at 5 is going to be late. Chauncey said, great show today, Brother Ken. And I see Yolanda and Larry waiting. Have, for all interests and future purposes, and to alleviate the necessity of spontaneously refuting what may or may not be historical facts alleged by your callers, how about you consider maybe bringing in a few of your history books from home and from Concordia, or maybe one or two of them doggone Britannicas from, my mother made me carry. And it was Cyclopedia, and it was World Book Encyclopedia for me. Then on break, you can arbitrarily do your fact checking, but oh wait, Google is much faster now. Google is faster, Google is not accurate. The people that made the Google algorithm made it for them. They decide what information is relevant and what information is not. Autofill, all that stuff. If they don't like the necessary site that you go to, you'll have trouble autofilling. I get that every day. But I get it. John went back and said he lost 18 years of his life. That's for the $7.96 million payment that the city is probably going to make. He deserves more. Unfortunately, citizens have to pay it. There should be something where the police are held accountable for contributing to these payouts. Well, they can't, because federal law, state law, and the Constitution says there's a thing called respondeat superior, where if you're working under the color of law and you are representing an agency, then they're responsible for your actions. And at the time, they were operating within the color of the law, and there's not a lot you can do. Now, the other flip side to that is if you make all cops accountable for every single thing, solitary thing, and open them up to lawsuits from every little frivolous thing, guess what? You're right. We ain't going to have no cops. Larry, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
What's up, Dr. Ken? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. I just wanted to make a comment about the kids or wherever, the parents and all of that. I think we got to get back to teaching our kids what they need to know. Because to complain about another group of people, that's predominant in the school area that teach all the kids, to think that they're going to teach your child what you want them to know, or what they need to know.
Okay.
It's crazy. I think we need to focus more on teaching them our own history. I personally don't like Black History Month, because we got thousands of years before slavery. Like, we was people and had a culture and civilization way before that. And for some reason, whenever the Black History February comes around, they always start us right back at slavery to remind us that, you were savages and animals, and we helped you out and took you over here and civilized you, when that's not the case. But is me knowing Black history going to allow me to make it in America with just Black history? Well, no. It starts with the mindset. Because if you think of yourself or your ancestors as just animals, and you never accomplished nothing, how can you think that you can do anything more than that? But I was never taught that Black people were animals in school back in the 60s and 70s, ever. Well, the way that they depict us is locked up in cages and with chains. It's like the same as animals. That's how they do animals. Right. And so, how do we change that? So, if you think of yourself as that, but specifically, how do we change that? What needs to happen in schools and what needs to happen in homes? We need to teach them all the stuff that we already done, like all the, we need to start before all of that. Before all of what? Before slavery, before the transatlantic slave trade. But we've done significant things around the turn of the 20th century to now. Why can't we teach them that too? Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. I mean, that's definitely true. But I think it's the foundation, because they teach you that when you were a little kid. They teach you that you used to be a slave. Okay. You don't think so? No, I'm not saying we don't. I'm saying that they include it. I haven't been in a K-12 classroom in a minute. They include it,
But at some point, my parents showed me these are the things that have happened, and these are the people that have made great strides in our community, and this is how black people got here. But we are
Absolutely.
we're not a microcosm of how we got here. The other thing the other thing about telling the truth about how we got here is explaining the fact of how the slave trade actually happened and how African tribes sold the people that tried to attack them to the British and other places as slaves.
I mean, well, that's the spoils of war, though. We weren't doing it just based.
You're missing my point. You cannot mitigate it just because it's black people. That's part of the issue.
Okay.
If we're going to tell the truth about everything. If we're going to tell the truth about 53206,
I agree with that.
Tell all of it. Tell all the people that have won.
Definitely agree with that.
All the people that graduated from MPS and became great. All the people that are doing phenomenal things in the city, and override this nonsense on TV news and radio news that only talks about the negative things in the black community and all the positive things in the white.
Yeah, but where are all of those people that became successful that came up in that area? They don't live in that area no more.
You shouldn't have to be in that area in order to have cred. You got how many hosts?
Have to be, but
you got Ben, you got Carrie, you got Sherwin, you got Kyle, you got Tori, you got me, you got all the producers here. Like, if you're really looking for people who some got brought up pretty, easy, and other people struggled, it's right here on The Truth. You have that entire microcosm right here.
That's true.
All right, well, thank you much, Larry. I appreciate you. Keep listening. Call
all
back.
Right, yeah, have a good one.
All right, brother. 833-212-1017 is the number. Yolanda, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Hey, what's going on?
I got to go back to the zip code. I heard you were talking about the zip code. I didn't even know about your station. My cousin turned me on to it. Zip code 53206. I grew up in that zip code.
Okay.
Let me tell you, that zip code was beautiful. I lived at 2620 North 16th Street, and the area was, everybody took care of their yards. There were homeowners. Very few poor people or disadvantaged people in that area. We all knew each other. We all respected each other. As a matter of fact, we had apple trees in our yard. My father kept our yard. All the yards were kept up pretty. No garbage on the streets. Everybody respected everybody. It was yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. I'm only 68. Just turned 68 this year.
All right.
God's willing, May 21st.
So what happened?
And we had, very few poor families, and they were not beggars. They never begged. They were too proud to beg. But, we offered to them. Everybody helped each other, and everybody respected each other. Also, my father worked for a packing company where he had the keys to, and it was located right on Clark and Titonia, where he had the keys. Him and I would go for walks. I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. My eldest brother, we all graduated from North Division besides my sister. She graduated from Rufus King. And my brother was one of the first black men that went to the Air Force Academy. Very few. It was like three black gentlemen in the Air Force Academy at that time. He went on to work for the Pentagon and left the Air Force at a lieutenant colonel, and made a full career out of it, and went to work for the federal government, where he worked for the Pentagon, was right under the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America.
Okay.
He's still living. He's the only brother that I have still living. And went to North Division.
I would love to talk to your brother. I would love to talk to your brother.
Oh, I'll give you his number.
Okay.
And he's still, he's cool with that. And I keep saying I'm gonna do some writings about him, but he's still active here in Wisconsin. He donates money to North Division's causes. Still to this day. I went to North Division and graduated student body president, and did walkouts so we can get the new North built where it was.
So what happened?
That neighborhood was wonderful.
So what happened?
Well, you know what? Now I wouldn't be caught dead in that neighborhood, but it's unfortunate. You know what I think happened? Young people are having children. The grandparents are only in their 30s.
And nobody called them out. Nobody said that's wrong.
They're not teaching. Right, they're not teaching the children, not bringing them up in church. You know, I think they need to have some morals, and they need to have some fathers. And I had a mom and dad in the house, fortunately, and someone spoiled. Yeah, we were spoiled. And you know, there's nothing wrong with spoiling children, but you have to still teach them finances, and they don't teach that. They didn't teach that in school. We had one counselor for all of our students, and that was one of the things that I did walkouts about, because they didn't talk to us and ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up, or where you want to.
They just steered you where they thought you should be.
Yeah, and most of college is not for everybody, but they would try to say, you're thinking too much of yourself. You're not going to be an attorney. You're not going to be that.
Wow.
You know, and these were black teachers, but unfortunately, our teachers at North Division were good. The counselors were nothing. Yep. The counselors they hired happened to be Caucasian people.
Right.
But I heard Larry, and Larry just didn't know what to say about black history. See, black history is real history. I'm not a prejudiced person, but the first form of man was found in Africa. The first bones, and that's what we're for. We are the true Jews, and unfortunately, and God said, it's right in Leviticus. It tells what the punishment was going to be for us: get chained, and it describes it in the Bible what happened to us, and what the thing is, civilization was in Africa, and the white man promised. He said, we were innately, it's the word innately, means that we were born with a good heart, kind heart. When they came talking to the people in Africa, they told them, they promised them things because they knew, all the jewels were there. It says that in the Bible, that all the diamonds, rubies, and stones that I've never even seen before.
And that's all been proven historically as well, outside of the Bible.
Right,
You're
yes, sir.
Right.
And
right.
So they promised if they could dig for it, that they would give build streets, pave streets with sidewalks, and they would put electricity and things up. But what they did, they stole all that stuff and never fulfilled what they do, like they still do today. And with Trump, he's trying to knock out Black History, period. And unfortunately, we're allowing it to happen, and it's wrong. Now, back in the day, we didn't have no Google or internet. Or
it's word of mouth. You had to talk to people.
We had the encyclopedia, and unfortunately, we had from A to Z. In my family, and that's what we had to do: go to that book and get those books out and read them. Yeah, but our neighborhood was wonderful. I mean, we had our harvest time, and everybody would come with their baskets. The women and the children would come with their baskets, and my brothers would get up in the trees. Yeah, they shake that tree, and people would go home and make apple pies. They make preservatives, and everything was homemade. My mother made everything from scratch. Everything from scratch. We didn't go to the doctor. Only time we went to the doctor was to get our vaccinations, or when if you fall, and because we would be outside playing. Nobody had no ADHD.
If it wasn't broke, you better put a Band-Aid on it and keep going. Put some spit on it and keep going.
Yeah. I'm really happy my cousin told me about this station, because I love to talk about this, but I'm going to give you my brother's number. He would welcome your call, and just let him know his sister Yolanda gave you his number.
Well, make sure you hold on, and I'm going to have a producer get his name and number. All right. 833-212-1017 is the number. It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. There's no better time to upgrade your windows and doors than right now, because Pella is offering up to 6 years of 0% financing. Set up your free in-home consultation. You commit to nothing at this point. They'll listen to your vision and suggest the Pella materials and customizations to make it a reality. Get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Certain restrictions apply. And the deal ends May 31st, 2025. So visit PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. Let me check these talking tapes before I get to my top five. I've had my producer looking at me like, man, you better come on. Blatant Issue says, now you need conversation not to be in awe. Miles said they gave Africans the Bible and the Africans gave them the key to the land. I don't think that's true. I would have to disagree with that. Talking text line, she's 68 years old. Yeah, 53206 was most likely a relatively decent neighborhood. No, it was a very decent neighborhood, Sir Chance. Back in the 1960s and 60s, fast forwarding 50 years plus, it's very brutal contrast, in my opinion. The reason being is that these days they're just cut from a different cloth, top to bottom. Not true. I completely and totally disagree. Just like Ann said, there were good jobs, A.O. Smith, American Motors, Delphi, all those places were here. We stopped telling our children, and this is me. Assimilation killed us. We stopped telling our children they were great. We stopped telling our children they had to work hard. We stopped sending our children to school. Even the single-parent households back in the day, all those kids made it. So that couldn't be it either. We stopped telling our kids, stop having children out of wedlock, stop having free. The government's not going to pay for you. It's not the government's job. Like, all those things happen, and we stopped talking to our children, telling them, no, don't do that. That's wrong. The things, because we didn't want people to feel bad, is the reason we're in the predicament we're in today. But I digress.
Number 5.
Yeah, we're going to get along to it. Milwaukee County judge from JS Online, federal jury was impaneled today to hear testimony in the case of Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan, who's accused of trying to assist an undocumented immigrant escape arrest last month. Among those arriving in the courthouse in downtown Milwaukee was Alan Freed Jr., Dugan's court clerk, and Mercedes De La Rosa, who was the attorney for Eduardo Flores Ruiz, the Mexican immigrant at the center of the case. De La Rosa has withdrawn from his case. Also giving testimony was Milwaukee County Judge Cristela Cavera, who is listed as Judge A in the criminal complaint. She arrived at about 2:20 p.m. with defense attorney Michael F. Hart. And so somebody was asking, why are they impaneling a grand jury? Well, one, it's federal. It's not like circuit court. Two, they have to show that they have probable cause and that an independent group of people sees that they have probable cause to indict you and take you to trial. And so that it's a federal grand jury, and they're going to, and that's just a rough, low-level explanation, and that's what they're doing. So that way, it's out of their hands. If the grand jury decides not to indict, she's not indicted, and the charges are dropped, and that's that. But if they do, then she will be, they'll be having a trial.
Number 4.
Let me do one thing. I'm waiting for my website to reload. There's a critically missing woman from the north side of Milwaukee. Critically missing 83-year-old Milwaukee woman has been found safe, and a silver alert that you probably got on your phone was issued for Elma Edwards. She was last seen near 70th and Cortland Avenue about 9 a.m. this morning. And so she was found. She is safe, and everything's okay. I know a lot of times we hear things, and we hear people are missing, and we never hear what happened after that. And so it's good to hear that she is safe and sound.
Number 3.
From Fox6Now.com, officials with the Milwaukee Waterworks announced yesterday its crews have replaced 10,000 lead service lines in the city. A news conference was held on Monday to make the milestone in the city's ongoing efforts to protect public health and ensure drinking water for all residents. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson was joined by Department of Public Works Commissioner Jerry Krutschke and Milwaukee Waterworks Superintendent Patricia Pauly during the news conference. They highlighted the importance of this work and the city's commitment to reducing the lead exposure. I want to say kudos to Cavalier Johnson, mayor of Milwaukee, for working on this and getting this moving. Did a great job. 15 Milwaukee neighborhoods were selected this year for prioritization in the lead service line replacement program. More neighborhoods have already been selected for 2026, and this will continue for the next, if I can count, 11 years until 2037.
Number 2.
Well, we're back to your boy. Y'all know Cassie testified today against Sean Diddy Combs in the sex trafficking case. They already dismissed the jury today. And, of course, they instructed people not to talk to anyone and to disable alerts on their phone, especially from news organizations. Diddy's defense team said they plan to submit a letter about sealed exhibits. So what she testified to is that Sean Diddy Combs wanted a freak-off days before Cassie Ventura's first movie premiere, but she hesitated because she didn't want to ruin her body before the big night, she testified. She said that she felt as though she had to follow through with Diddy's request or he would have made it miserable for me. That's what she's quoted as saying. She testified that if she complied with his wishes, her movie premiere would go smoothly. There was a lot of drinking during the freak-off, which included an escort named Jules. In the middle of the session, Cassie testified that Diddy hit her, which gave her a black eye. She attempted to leave and escape to the hallway elevators, but the next thing she knew, she was on the ground. She said Diddy dragged her by the back of her neck and threw her down, and after being thrown to the ground, Cassie said she covered her face and stayed there. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson asked Cassie if she hit Diddy back, to which she replied, no. So the saga goes on. The jury's been dismissed for the day, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Number 1.
This from Blavity.com. I don't know if you've heard, on Monday evening, the DNC Credentials Committee, a subcommittee of the Democratic National Committee, voted to uphold a challenge against the February election of Hogue and Kenyatta as DNC vice chairs. That's David Hogue and Malcolm Kenyatta, two rising stars in the Democratic Party who were appointed vice chairs of the DNC earlier this year, but now people are challenging their position. The party has moved closer to nullifying the election that put them in their positions on procedural grounds, even as Hogue has notably clashed with other Democrats over the direction of the party. So now the decision leaves it up to the full DNC, all the voting delegates, to decide whether to void the election, which would lead to new elections that could lead to Hogue and or Kenyatta losing their positions. Hogue is a 25-year-old political activist, rose to prominence as a gun control advocate after surviving the 2018 high school shooting at Parkland, Florida. Kenyatta, 34, meanwhile, has served as Pennsylvania state rep since 2019, and both men have been seen as rising young stars in the Democratic Party. The challenge was brought by Oklahoma Democratic Committee woman Kaylin Free, who lost to Hogue and Kenyatta in the DNC election for vice chair. So what it sounds like is as usual. And no, let me double check this just to make sure, because I was about to say something that might not have been accurate. And let me look, and let me see if I can find a picture. Yep, as usual, challenged by a white woman.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Here at the new 1017 The Truth, we aim to be a staple in Milwaukee's Black community. We are committed to partnering with local organizations and supporting Black-owned businesses. We are proud to call Milwaukee our city and promise to be a positive reflection of our community. We look forward to celebrating Black culture and excellence with you every day as we make history and continue to uplift the voices in our city. Join us for the journey at the new 1017 The Truth, founded by Gruber Law Offices, Milwaukee Black Talk.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024 U.S. Bank.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So, Black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do. But I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other Black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute. You are listening to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. I want to say thank you to all the callers, and I appreciate you making me late for Top 5 at 5. It was some great conversation. Yolanda just kind of, knocked it out the park. So I'm just saying. Right now, 32 minutes after the hour, 64 degrees. Humidity is at 76%. Pressure's dropping. We might have a little rain later. Visibility is about 10 miles an hour. Winds are still from the southwest at about 9 miles an hour. The low overnight is about 53 degrees. There's also a dense fog advisory. And unfortunately, tomorrow it'll be 66, but morning fog, evening clouds. 69 on Thursday. And Friday, it's 77 degrees. So looking forward to that. But then again, I'm not looking forward to that because you know how your cousins act sometimes when it get warm outside. So, and that's another one. So what do you do when there's drama going on in the community and we just don't call nobody, don't do anything about it, but then we complain about it? We actually complain about it. But I want to go back to what Ann said. Many parents in general have spoiled their children. I observed many teens that did not appear impoverished, cruising in very nice cars, wearing designer clothes out after curfew on school nights. I see a lot of white students out there like that too. And I guess when you're in a suburb, it's okay, but it's not okay in the city when you have parents who are successful and certain things offset certain things. Like with an education comes better pay, better living, home ownership, investing, all those things. It's a welcome byproduct. It just is what it is. The issue I'm having is why don't we have these conversations with younger kids? Stop acting a fool. Stop believing the garbage that you've been told, that the police are all bad, all 100% of them. Nobody's perfect, but not all cops are bad. It's a necessary, for lack of a better word, evil. It's a necessary component of society. But that doesn't give you carte blanche to act a fool. You're not a victim of anything. You might be. There are some issues. And so somebody asked, why is it, or somebody said on the YouTube chat that poverty is a choice. And I say that's a lie from the pit of hell. In some cases, poverty is not a choice. I grew up in poverty because of situations and circumstances that happened in my life that I had no control over. None. But I still made it. And so instead of looking at the end product, you need to look at the process of how you got there. There are a lot of people that went through that 5 through 206 process where it was bad after Yolanda's family left and moved. And guess what? They made it just fine. And the other 40% that are not graduating from MPS or not in private or parochial schools or choice have what? That other 60% have graduated and went on about their business and got jobs and went to work and went to college and all. But we never talk about them. We never talk about them. That's why Alpha Phi Alpha does the Alpha Botillion. We have kids in the Botillion. The minimum is 2.0. We have some kids that are 4.0. We have some kids that slam it, some kids that barely get through it, but they get that camaraderie and that input that they can make it. And they make it. And some of them go on to be award-winning movie directors and producers, and some go on to be high school principals, and some go on to graduate from college and become university president. I mean, corporation, like all these people that graduated from MPS and all these great things that are going on, and we have a microcosm because the media, like I started out before, only looks at the negative. And it just drives me up a wall. I just don't understand why we let that happen. Put your money together, sit down, support these organizations, NAACP, Urban League, UNCF, and make it happen. MATC, make it happen. But nobody wants to spend their money on something of themselves. We trick off $1.2, $1.3 trillion a year in just extra money, not money we got, extra money on frivolous stuff. And all we do is look at other people who have more and complain that they don't give us. JD said, before I talked to Al from Sherman Park, JD said poverty is due to greed. Poverty in the United States is different from poverty in a developing country. Issue is greed. 2,800 billionaires out of 8 billion people isn't necessarily because someone is smart. It most definitely is because someone is smart. Number two, if you believe in the fact that for somebody to become rich, somebody has to be poor, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Being poor, being in poverty is not a choice. Staying in poverty, in many cases, is a choice. That part I will agree with. And just because you're rich and successful or even middle class doesn't mean you have to jack somebody else in order to get it. That's ridiculous. That means people are lazy and want to blame somebody else for something they didn't do. Is it me, or did he just prove Al's statement to be true? Because he chose to do something that's right. No. I'm saying that poverty, he said poverty is a choice. And I said poverty is a choice when you decide to stay poor. But poverty, on average, is not a choice because we don't choose it. Like, I've never known anybody that grew up, you know what, when I grow up, I want to be poor. I want to struggle in life. I want to not have a car and have to take the bus during, blizzards, during the snow. I want to have a house that's barely put together, but I'm paying rent so somebody in a suburb can send their kids to grad school. Yeah, sure, I want to do that. I've never seen anybody do that, ever. And there are two sides to everything. I understand what Al was saying. Poverty is a choice, but you can't generalize that and say about everything, because that's what they do about black people. There are significantly more white people in America that are significantly poorer than black people. Travel this country, travel this state. So living in trailers, dirt roads, dirt yards, milk crates for furniture, come on now. I mean, you live how you have to live. You got to do it. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. But at some point, that changes. And so in that point, I agree with Al. But overall blanket poverty is a choice? No. No. I chose not to stay in it. My mother chose not to stay in it and go back and work and retire, got cancer and died, and made sure her 3 children all graduated from college. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Al from Sherman Park, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Ken?
What's up?
I was thinking about your topic about the media bias, and we talked a lot about how African Americans are portrayed in the media. Mm-hmm. And knowing this, knowing how we are portrayed, and knowing what happens when we court, why aren't we doing everything in our power not to be subject of the media? You know, in a day and age where virtually every
it's two-sided,
phone has a camera.
But it's two-sided. They can choose not to show it, just like they choose not to show white people when they act a fool. They choose not to release the name of a person up in Washington County where the lunch money lady stole thousands of dollars, but they didn't want to release her name because she hasn't been charged. But black people, they release their name every day and picture and don't think twice about it. That kind of thing. So we can't necessarily blame black people. No, we can't blame black people for being portrayed in the media in a way that they actually are. The media is actually choosing to do that.
But when you know that that's the media's
you may not know, but you may not know.
Report the negative.
But you may not know.
But you know they report the negative. Look at the evening news, right?
Okay.
Look at how many stories are negative. Look what leads negativity. So they're out there searching for those shocking videos and things of that nature.
But you can find those shocking videos in white communities too. White people are the ones shooting up schools. White people are the ones killing dozens of people. Like, why aren't we seeing that every day? Because it's happening.
If you know what your enemy is going to do when you present them with material, stop giving them the material.
But I can't control everything and everybody and how they act. I can't control the media,
I know.
And I can't control people in the black community.
So Google this new trend that popped up this week called black fatigue. I don't know if you've hit on it yet, but that's popping up this week, and it's where they take all the videos of all the fights at the restaurants and in the stores, and the brawling, and the poor behavior. Did you see the customer service with Frontier Airline? Where
No,
the two
no, you got about 30 seconds.
Anyway, Google it and tell us that we can't control our own self-behavior so that we're not put in those positions of being splashed across the news.
All right. Thank you much, Al.
Thanks.
And now with 101.7 The Truth Traffic, here's Debbie Lazaga.
Southbound on 41, a hefty ride from Good Hope Road all the way down past Capitol Drive. Northbound is backed up as well from Watertown Plank Road all the way up past Hampton. Southbound 43's got some backups from Capitol Drive all the way down to about Lincoln. Northbound's backing up from just north of the Marquette all the way to Keefe. And then we've got more delays along southbound 894 from Greenfield Avenue down and around the Hale to Forest Home. We did have an accident there on 894 eastbound at Forest Home. That has been cleared out of the way. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, patchy fog, mild with a low of 51. Tomorrow, morning fog, partly cloudy, isolated showers with a high of 66 at the lake, 75 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 101.7 The Truth.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in, it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Need to look sharp for graduation? You need
the $100 hookup.
Want to get decked out for prom? Get the
$100 hookup.
An incredible deal that includes a marvelous suit, shirt, and tie, all for $100. Only at Nick Avani's, home of the
$100 hookup.
And that isn't limited to some standard stock suit. You'll be pleased by the top quality and variety of fashion offered at Nick Avani's. Get hooked up today at Nick Avani's in Mayfair Mall and at nickavanis.com.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Here is Sherwin Hughes with his truth.
Most people don't know that a county executive is a higher elected position than a mayor. Most people don't know what a state assembly representative does, a state senator, nor their function in overall state government. Most people, in fact, don't know what a school board representative actually does. Ask a person who their county board supervisor is, and they'll likely shrug their shoulders. Also, most people don't vote. We're in for a world of hurt. If we don't know the functions of our government at the very basic level, then we are not nearly equipped for what is going to happen to this nation for the next 4 years. All they had to do was tell unsophisticated folks gas prices are too high, inflation is too high, bacon and eggs cost too much. It's this guy's fault. It's this party's fault. Vote for us. Don't think about the criminal prosecutions. Don't think about all the malfeasance. Don't think about all of the misconduct and the corruption. We're going to make your bacon cheaper. We're going to make your eggs cheaper. We're also going to gut the FBI. We're also going to gut anything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to shred this nation from the top to the bottom, all in favor of a handful of folks. How about this? Let's tell people that immigrants are actually the problem. And then Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk will bring in the most highly trained immigrants this nation has ever seen. Why? Because Americans are none the wiser. Don't believe me? Look at public school children's performance, not just in Milwaukee, not just in Wisconsin, but nationwide. Get ready for a long ride, ladies and gentlemen. A very long ride.
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 1017 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. Milwaukee Brewers dropped Game 1 of their 3-game series out in Cleveland to the Guardians. This one by a final score of 5-0. The loss dropping the Brewers 2 games under 500 at 20-22. Game 2 set for this evening. Over to the NBA, where the Dallas Mavericks have won the NBA lottery. They'll have the number 1 pick in the upcoming June 2025 NBA draft. And around the NBA, the Celtics fall into the Knicks 121-113. New York taking a 3-1 lead in that series. And the Timberwolves also taking a 3-1 lead in their series over the Warriors with a 117-110 win. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Remember, FDIC.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Democratic Republic of Congo is not the same as being poor on the south side of Chicago or the north side of Milwaukee. I really don't care about the Republic of Congo or Malaysia. I don't care. Somebody said, Mal said being rich is not about education or great business venture. Some people choose to lose their dignity just so they can be rich. But the majority of people don't. See what I mean? You find all these far out extremes of people, and Elon Musk is evil, so he makes all billionaires bad. When we got black billionaires, and they're not bad. Robert F. Smith, just one. So what are you saying? Oh, I'm going to find all the bad ones. People like previous caller forget that what you call trend on social media is tailored by the platform. That's true. Disregard. Well, no, we're not going to disregard anything because we don't disregard what you say, JD, so we're not going to disregard what Al said. I always wonder how people can claim to be rich yet do not own their own homes. Well, there's a process behind that. Maybe we'll talk about it one day. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris.
Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris returns after this on 1017 The Truth, the Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This is Sherwin Hughes from The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. And Truth Nation, you can now watch my show live on YouTube every day from 9 a.m. until noon. Yep, you can get 3 full hours of watching Sherwin doing his thing streaming live on YouTube Monday through Friday. You'll get the same insightful conversations about policy, politics, and lifestyle while also seeing my reaction to the unpredictability of our listeners. So go to YouTube right now, subscribe to 1017 The Truth, and see this wonderful smile live every day.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. There's no better time to upgrade your windows and doors than right now because you can get up to 6 years of 0% financing at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Yes, no interest for up to 72 months, and the full Pella experience is always included. That means the Pella team is with you from start to finish. They don't disappear after the work is done. Set up your free in-home consultation. You commit to nothing at this point. A Pella design expert will listen to your vision and then present the different colors, sizes, and customizations needed to make that vision a reality. It can feel overwhelming to consider what feels like limitless possibilities, but Pella's design team can help narrow those options down for you to create that dream upgrade. Hurry! Get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Certain restrictions apply, and the deal ends May 31st, 2025. So visit PellaWI.com today.
What's poppin', Truth Nation? It's your girl Noni Juice, and it's Steinhaffel's Memorial Day mattress sale. Save up to $900 on select adjustable base sets, plus get up to $300 in Steinhaffel's cash. And take advantage of Steinhaffel's special 60-month financing. You can get a Queen Tempur-Pedic mattress for only $48 per month, a Beauty Rest Black mattress for only $36 per month, and an Avocado mattress for only $26 per month. Steinhaffel's is Wisconsin's mattress leader. Shop in-store or online at Steinhaffel's.com.
Two Wisconsin icons are teaming up on a reworked classic. Cousin Subs and U-Zingers are proud to introduce the all-new fried bologna sub, featuring U-Zingers fried bologna, bacon, American cheese, onions, pickles, mayo, and mustard on fresh-baked Italian bread. And that's not all. Pair your fried bologna with a creamy cupcake shake topped with whipped cream and rainbow sprinkles. Now that's a better combination. Order both in-store, online, or via the mobile app. Cousin Subs, we believe in better.
Keep your business safe, secure, and spotless with the Omega Security Guard and Cleaning Team. Proudly located in Milwaukee and female-owned, Omega delivers professional security and tailored cleaning services to meet your needs. Whether it's event security or a custom cleaning plan, their dedicated team goes above and beyond to exceed your expectations. Because at Omega, they're not just your service provider, they're your partner in peace of mind. Contact Omega Security Guard today or online at OmegaSecurityGuard.com. Omega Security Guard and Cleaning, protecting what matters most.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
There's breaking news. A federal grand jury has indicted Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan today. She is accused of helping an undocumented man avoid immigration agents at the courthouse last month. Breaking news update. Check for more updates from fox6now.com. So, she's been indicted. And Mao, let me see what Mao asked me. Have you watched the documentary, The Secret of Selling the Negro? No, but I definitely will. I looked it up, and I think it's, one of my favorite people. John Johnson. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. Tori Lowe show's coming up. Want to say thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you. Powerful show for all of you all. Oh, I got to use another word than powerful because, Tori Lowe be on my back. I get beat up and pushed around, so I don't know. Hey, God bless. Take care. See you in about 22 hours. Thank you, Glenn.
Be quiet.
I'm out.